You know, this is such a departure from Hannah Baker, what people know you from mostly. Was that, were you looking for that like in a new project?
I think it's a little different for me because I finished up on the show a couple of years ago, and for me it was such a beautiful role and something that I'm really grateful for. But uh, I also feel grateful for having done a couple of things since then. So I think there's a bit more space for me between that role and this one. But definitely, I think this role of Nimue and also the story of Cursed, it's so different to anything that I've done before. Not just in terms of character or genre, but also in terms of just the vast skill set that I had to learn to in order to play this role. So it was a really nice kind of and different challenge for me, and something I feel like I learned a lot from.
Were those new challenges, was that what initially appealed to you about the show?
Um, Partially, yeah. I'm a former athlete, and I trained as a swimmer for nearly 10 years. So to be able to use my body for a role is something that I've never done before, and I was really excited to dive into that. And during shooting, it's cold, and you really have to fully commit. And I have to say, like, I loved throwing myself in there, even if it was freezing cold. It was a really enjoyable part of the experience. But I think also with training and these things, you always wish you had more time, and I definitely love to dive more into that.
We spoke, I guess, right before 13 Reasons Why premiered, and you said you had used music and played the piano and stuff to kind of to leave that the role and all that headspace behind. Did you do anything specific for this? Was it an easier process to kind of go home after a day of sword fighting and riding horses?
That makes me so happy that you remember that. And yes, it's actually I have a keyboard that my agents gave me for around the Golden Globes, because they knew that I loved pianos and they're not a portable instrument. But I did actually rent a piano for where I was staying this time, and it was something that I loved to go home to. And I have to say, this was, I think I would probably say it's one of the most grueling shooting experiences I've had, and it was challenging for different reasons. Although Nimue goes through a lot, it was a lot of physicality, and not just sort of on the one-off fight scenes and stunt scenes or times where we would be doing stuff during set. It was also, shooting outside a lot. So it was coping with being in the cold, being in rain, playing the soon to be Lady of the Lake. You're in water all the time, and when you're in water in the UK, it's not exactly the warmest weather, or like Maui, as Tom promised. But no, it was really an amazing experience to be able to learn that and to dive into this world, because these epic pieces, they require so much work. And it was almost like shooting 10 1-hour movies back to back for an entire year.
Was it easy to relate to her? I know she's, it's this whole other time period, a whole other type of character, and just like it's all so fantastic. Was it easy to kind of like hone in on what made Nimue Nimue?
I don't know if I'm as brave as her. I'd like to think I am, but she there's something, I think, when you sit with a character on a show versus on a movie. I mean, playing this character, this girl, for 10 months, you really become more attached. Um, but I definitely found, the first time we see her in probably one of her most vulnerable states, actually really attached to that. Like we focus on the strength that comes from this heroine and this warrior, and she has this incredible journey, and she really has to embrace herself and all of those things within her in order to fight for justice and to save the people that she loves. But also, at the end of the day, she's just a girl, and she goes through so much loss. And she's also incredibly restless. She has this curse, which she doesn't understand, and other people don't understand, so they're afraid of her. And so she grows up, I think, having a kind of a lot of loneliness and being restless. And I identify with the restlessness, because I think no matter who you are or what age you are or where you are in the world, we all know that there's something special inside of us, and we're always trying to figure out, how do I use this, or what's my purpose, where do I fit in? So that, I felt, was a real, like, in for me from the beginning.